An emotional moment unfolded inside a Massachusetts courtroom as jurors heard the frantic 911 call made after Patrick Clancy discovered that his 3 young children were dead and his wife, Lindsay Clancy, critically injured outside their home. Lindsay Clancy, who is on trial for the murders of her children, broke down in tears as the recording was played. The audio has not been publicly released because of its graphic nature, but journalists inside the courtroom described the devastating moments that left the room in silence. Here's what happened. The murder trial of Lindsay Clancy took an emotional turn Wednesday as prosecutors presented one of the case's most heartbreaking pieces of evidence, the 911 call placed after the deaths of the Clancy family's 3 children. As seen in videos from inside the courtroom, Lindsay Clancy buried her head in her hands and cried as the audio played before the jury. Her attorney, Kevin Reddington, was seen placing a hand on her back to comfort her. The recording itself remains under seal after Patrick Clancy successfully petitioned the court to prevent its public release because of its disturbing content. Instead, journalists attending the proceedings described what jurors heard. According to courtroom reports, the recording begins with voices desperately trying to wake Lindsay Clancy after she was found outside the family's home. She had allegedly jumped from a second-floor bedroom window in what prosecutors and defense attorneys agree was an apparent suicide attempt. The fall left her paralyzed from the waist down. One voice can reportedly be heard saying, "Lindsay, wake up. Lindsay, look at me. Say my name." As emergency sirens approached, Patrick Clancy is then heard telling someone nearby, "I need you to stay and go check on my kids."
Moments later, according to courtroom transcripts shared by journalists, screaming erupts.
Someone is heard shouting, "She killed the kids. Oh my God." The courtroom reportedly fell silent as jurors listened to the heartbreaking recording. Wednesday's testimony also revealed a deeply disturbing conversation Patrick Clancy says he had with his then-wife about a week after the killings. Taking the stand, he testified that Lindsay called him from the hospital while she was recovering from injuries sustained in her suicide attempt. According to his testimony, the conversation was not about their 3 children. Instead, he said Lindsay spoke about what she believed she had experienced that day. Patrick told jurors, "She didn't talk about our kids, she talked about what she went through." Then he recounted what Lindsay allegedly told him. According to Patrick, Lindsay said she heard a man's voice urging her to act. He testified that she said she heard a man's voice telling her that if she didn't do it now, she would lose her chance, or something like that. Patrick said he had never heard his wife describe hearing voices before that conversation. He also testified that before the tragedy, Lindsay had never told him she wanted to kill or harm their children. Wednesday wasn't the first time Lindsay Clancy became visibly emotional during the trial. Earlier in the week, prosecutors showed family photographs and home videos taken just days before the killings. The images showed Clancy spending time with her children, 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan, during what appeared to be a happy family outing at a water park. Court observers said Lindsay Clancy cried while watching those videos as well. The contrast between those family memories and the allegations at the center of the trial has become one of the prosecution's most emotionally powerful themes. Prosecutors allege that in January 2023, Lindsay Clancy used exercise bands to strangle all 3 children inside the family's home before attempting to take her own life. She has pleaded not guilty. Her defense does not dispute that the children died at her hands. Instead, attorneys argue that Lindsay Clancy was suffering from severe postpartum mental illness and therefore lacked criminal responsibility at the time of the killings. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington described his client as a loving mother and dedicated labor and delivery nurse who desperately sought psychiatric help before the tragedy. He told jurors this was a woman that was suffering from psychosis. According to the defense, Clancy had no rational motive to harm her children and intended to end her own life immediately afterward. Medical treatment has become one of the central issues in the case. Both prosecutors and defense attorneys agree that Lindsay Clancy had been prescribed numerous psychiatric medications in the months leading up to the deaths. Court testimony revealed she received treatment from multiple doctors and was prescribed at least 15 different psychiatric medications between late 2022 and January 2023. Patrick Clancy testified that his wife's mental health deteriorated significantly following the birth of their youngest child. He told jurors she experienced severe anxiety and later developed suicidal thoughts. According to his testimony, Lindsay also expressed frightening thoughts about the children being harmed or suffering illnesses. However, the husband testified that his wife repeatedly assured him she had no plan to harm their children. The prosecution, however, argues that Lindsay Clancy was capable of planning her actions. Prosecutors contend that she intentionally sent Patrick Clancy out of the house on errands before carrying out the killings. They argue those actions demonstrate planning and awareness rather than an uncontrollable psychotic episode. The defense strongly disputes that interpretation. Instead, attorneys argue Clancy's actions must be viewed through the lens of severe postpartum mental illness. The jury will ultimately decide whether her mental state legally excuses criminal responsibility under Massachusetts law. The case has drawn national attention because it sits at the intersection of criminal law and mental health. Experts have testified about postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, two conditions that, while related, are very different. Postpartum depression affects many new mothers and can include persistent sadness, anxiety, and feelings of hopelessness. Postpartum psychosis is much rarer, but can involve hallucinations, delusions, and a profound break from reality. Whether Lindsay Clancy was experiencing postpartum psychosis at the time of the killings remains one of the central questions the jury must answer.